Okay friends, we are going to begin with the first asset of the course, that is going to be the beer mug. We are now in Blender and we are going to eliminate all these objects. We are going to change to orthogonal view and frontal view, and we are going to the folder in which we have the reference. Select the mug reference and we are going to drag it directly to Blender. Now let's see some of the options that we have for the image. We are going to use the alpha and also add some transparency. We are doing this in order to visualize it better. Now what we're going to do is to center this image, guiding us with the Z-axis. These rivets that are in the middle of the jar must be aligned with the Z-axis, and we have it here. Now let's move a little this image in the Y-axis to avoid interceptation with the objects that we are going to create. And also let's add here the selection arrow and turn it off for the reference image. This is to avoid selecting it by accident. Okay, now that we have this image located, we are going to add a cube, and the idea here is to modify this cube in the way that it takes the form of these wood pieces. These wood sheets we have here. So we are going to select the lower vertex and move them down to the lower part in the reference until here, and move up this vertex to the border we have here, to this angle we have here. The reference is not going to match the object at the beginning, only the bottom part is going to be matched. The bottom part gets a bit thinner, so the vertex here are going to be out a little. So don't worry about, because we are going to adjust them later. And here as we can see, it is very deep in the y-axis, so I'm going to scale it a little in the y-axis. More or less something like this. Okay. And now we're going to create a loop in the middle, and we're going to delete the whole left side in order to add a mirror modifier. Come here to the modifiers and add the mirror. Activate the clipping option as well, and we are also going to activate here the vertex to be able to manipulate the other side. Now we are going to add a loop here on the side. Go to face selection, and we need to delete this face that we have here. This is because we are going to duplicate it with the array modifier. So this piece is going to have contact with the other one. I will add here the array modifier. Then this piece we deleted is going to have contact with the other one. If we move this, we can see that that part we delete is the one that is in contact with the piece on the side. We are going to tell the array that creates 12 pieces, and we are also going to activate the merge. This is to merge those vertices of the pieces that are in contact with the others. I will continue adjusting this piece, select this and extrude it up here, and move this a little bit towards the center, more or less like this. As I say, this part is not going to be exact because we are going to reduce it later, so just worry about having the main shape. With these edges, select them and press double G to move it, and this border move it out like this. Well, now we're going to add the simple deform modifier, which is the one that is going to curve this whole piece on itself. We are going to select here the event option. It by default comes in twist. And we're going to select also the Z-axis. And we can already see the curvature of the object. Let's also going to tell him that the angle be 360 degrees to make a full circle. And we can already see that it begins to take the cylindrical shape of the mug. Let's keep adjusting. Now I will select this edge here and move it up where the reference indicates, this way. Okay, and we're going to continue with these metal rings. Go back to edit mode and we can select this border here, and in the side view press Shift D to duplicate it and then move it a bit here. In this way we can see that it creates a circle around the wall mug, and we are going to place it in the lower edge of the metal ring that we have in the reference. Also here we can move it a little towards the center in a way that it can penetrate the mesh a little bit, as it is here. Okay, let's extrude this up again in the Z-axis until the edge that indicate the reference. And we're going to select these two edges, extrude them, and press the Y key to do it only in the Y-axis. And we're going to move it more or less this distance. This is a distance that indicates the reference with the thickness of the sheet. Well, now we're going to press F to fill the face. Let's see. Maybe I can make it a little bit thinner, something like this. Okay, this is fine. Something that sometimes happens when we do this kind of operation, that is to extrude a border and then fill it with the fill tool, is that sometimes the faces are inverted. So to check that, we're going to come here to the viewport overlays and let's activate face orientation. And as you can see, we have here this blue part and these red faces. That means that the blue part has the normals pointing out, which is the ideal, and the red faces are looking inwards, so they are inverted. We are going to correct that. So select everything and press Shift N or Control N, and we now have all the normals looking out. We can deactivate the face orientation and continue with the piece we have above. Let's select it with L and let's duplicate it with Shift D and then press C to move it up here where we have the other ring in the reference. And this is our progress so far. Well, I'm going to activate the wireframe as well. You can activate it here if you wish. It is in the viewport display. I have it in quick favorites because it's something that I use very often. And now we're going to continue adding the rivets. To add the rivets, first we are going to apply the mirror modifier. Go back to edit mode and we are going to press Shift A and add a circle. Here, as you can see, the circle comes out quite large and that separates all those pieces. So to correct that, we are going first to change the number to 8 and we're going to change the radius here to a smaller number, more or less like this. I'm going to press C, and here in field type we are going to select triangles. And finally in rotation I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees in the x-axis so that it is now aligned with the ring. Okay, I'm going to move down this right here and I'm going to scale it and move it a little out. And here, as you can see, there is a stretching in the sides, like scale it on the x-axis. To correct that, go here to activate the vertex and we're going to scale it in the x-axis. Press S and X and move it in such a way that it reaches the circular shape. I'm going to scale it another little bit, and here in the reference it has this size, but I want it a little bigger. I will move it a little bit up and I'm going to make it to penetrate a little into the metal ring. Now I will extrude it out in this way, something like this. And finally, I'm going to select it again with L and press Shift D to duplicate it, and then C to move it to the top ring. Locate it in this position, and this is what we have now. This is the first space to continue working on our mock.